I'll start with the difficult question. Who's going to win it?
What's this?
I'm only kidding on. I'll get to that. We did see Wrocław second last round. Obviously, we had sprint races involved with that. We had the Grand Prix, which was phenomenal. Having been there, that was my first time that I'd ever been to Wrocław. It was that was a bucket list thing to do, was to go to a Grand Prix there. Absolutely sensational. It's the fastest I've ever seen people go on a speedway bike. It's absolutely insane how quick it is. You just think, for where we were stood, like kind of at the apex of the kind of third and fourth bend, when you seen them coming out the second bend, you just think, oh, this is going to end in carnage, because they're going that fast and they just appear to be all just crossing over, and it was just insane how good it was. But Brady came out on top, with Bartosz coming second, Dan Bewley coming third, and Jack Holder coming last in the final. Mitchell, I'll come to you first. It's incredible to think that Brady has won 4 on the trot here and still not top of the standings, but his performance levels, I mean, obviously Bartosz got the better of him in the qualifying heats, but he won the race that mattered, really. But the consistency that he's shown is unlike anything that we've seen in terms of challenging Bartosz probably since 𝗚𝗿𝗄𝗃 beat Bartosz. But it's absolutely incredible, the consistency, because from Bartosz's point of view as well, the consistency he's shown by constantly turning up and just finishing behind him, it's absolutely insane, the level of consistency these guys are racing at the very, very pinnacle of the sport.
Yeah, it's impressive. You're in awe watching it. I feel, Bartosz, you sort of come to expect it from his point of view. He is world class. He's won many world titles. It wasn't a fluke. He's the real deal. But yeah, the biggest thing is obviously Brady coming in, rookie season. Normally you see a rider, they'll win a Grand Prix and it'll take them, maybe into the following season before they win another one. But he's just gone back to back to back to back, I think. I mean, it's got to be, it's absolutely incredible to watch. But I mean, viewing figures for Vojens on the weekend is going to be through the roof, surely. If you're not there in person, you're going to be watching somehow or some way, because it's a showdown and a half. And like you say, I feared a little bit after the sprint race at Wrocław, because obviously Brady got put out well early in the qualifying, in the shootout races, and it's like, I think everyone expected probably a little bit more, and then gets to the business end when the big points are on the line and pops out and does the business. You can't ask more in your rookie season, and I don't think Brady would ask for much more personally of himself. It's what a phenomenal year he's had and having, and yeah, I'm excited for Saturday.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because the company I was in Wrocław, having watched the qualifying and obviously I'm not making the kind of sprint race or whatever, I think the viewpoint that we took is that might be a wee bit of a kick up the arse for him, like, go on, like, I can't do that, I can't do that again, I really need to get the head screwed on. That's easier said than done. Like, you can't just flick a switch, especially at that level, to go out and just win heats after you've maybe not had the setup that you want. But ultimately what that goes to prove in that setting and in that format with the sprint races is that these guys are always quick as one another when they're given a bit of space and a bit of room to get going. They're all just as fast as one another, because we've seen a few shocks in the kind of sprint races, even if it's guys just making it to the final there as well. But Gav, it's quite incredible to think that on the back of Wrocław, and again Brady winning 4 GPs in a row, it's quite incredible to think that even if he went 5 in a row, there's potential there for him still to lose the world title. That if you had said that to me at the start of the season, there is absolutely no way that if you told me that somebody won again we're talking hypotheticals, that if somebody won 5 GPs in a row, there's potential for them still to lose the world title.
It's madness, isn't it? Absolute madness. But it obviously keeps us all on the edge of our seats. I think I saw a graphic today was the points scored. They've won the same amount of GPs this year. The points scored, Varney, obviously there's 3 points difference. And I think it's one sprint race or something more that Bartosz has won. And that's all the differences from the whole season. Like between the two of them, they've got Varney the same, the same race wins, the same obviously Grand Prix wins and everything else, and it's one sprint race or something that Bartosz got, and that Brady hasn't won a sprint competition or something this season. So yeah, that's what it's boiling down to, and as you say,
Yeah.
Vojens, crikey, you're right though, he could win, and then, as you say, 5 off the trot and not actually win the title would be a bit of an injustice, I think, I think that would just be heartbreaking. But as Mitch says, for a rookie to come in, we know Brady's been there or thereabouts for a few years now, but to actually make the GPs, and I think he, when he'd won that first one, he must have probably been pretty happy that, if I can finish top 5, top 6, I've had a brilliant season, and I just think it's kicked on, and all of a sudden he's got so much self-belief in his ability that he's got to that pedestal where he, it comes second nature to him to win, and that's a fantastic thing to have. When your confidence is that high, as I was going right back to what I was talking about, 𝗚𝗿𝗶𝘅, that if you build your confidence up and then you get the odd knock and it only goes slightly down, and Brady at the minute is so high on confidence and so high up that tree, the odd knock doesn't take him anywhere. He just knows he's going to go out the next race and do better, and that's why, as you say, Bartosz, who is, without doubt the best speed rider we've had for the last 10 years or whatever, he's matching him race for race, result for result. And it comes, as you say, it comes down to Vojens, and it should be an absolute fantastic spectacle.
Absolutely. Mitchell, I know I've said this a couple of times in the podcast, that slide that I'm hoping I'm wrong. I just hope that chain snapping in Prague in the last chance qualifier when he was leading. I just hope I can just visualise it now that we're all looking back at this season going, that was it. That moment there was it. And I really hope that it's not. But it's such a tough task when you think that if Brady wins it, like he would need Bartosz to finish third or worse. I mean, I can visualise the final just now, like Brady making the start and Bartosz like flinging the bike everywhere to get himself into second to just claim it. But what a crescendo that would end up. But just thinking back to that Prague moment, I'm just hoping that that's not the moment. That twist of fate is not the twist of fate that stops him from winning the World Championship.
For me, I wouldn't dwell on that. If you're looking at, from a worst case scenario point of view, I would say missing the sprint race at effectively his home Polish track, because there's points in those sprint races. If he made that sprint race and finished 4th, that still brings it that 1 point closer. That there's so many ifs, what, but, should have, would have, but it's Speedway at the end of the day. And I seen a quote, I think the FIM Speedway put up, and I think Brady had said something along the lines of, to take Bartosz to the last round, it's been so long since it's happened, so he's just going to enjoy the moment no matter what happens. I hope he really meant those words, because, I mean, he's riding on a high. Why not go and win it and put all the pressure on Bartosz to finish in that second place? I take it there's in no eventuality that it has to be a race-off, because, God, that would be the absolute pinnacle end of the season. I think the eventuality has to be...
I think for talking's sake, if Brady came 4th and what's in it, 3 points, so Bartosz came 6th, you would need a race off, just going by the numbers, so you would need the 3 points. So that's probably, if we're talking most realistic of a race off, it would be one finishing 4th and the other finishing 6th.
So
I don't see that happening, if I'm being totally honest.
It is possible.
I don't
But
even know if it comes down to a race off then, because like I think they would go back to who's the quickest when the 2 minutes goes on, and getting first out in the track would probably be a start rather than actually settling it on the track. There'll be some rule somewhere that we don't actually get to see a race off in it, but. Yeah, I mean, there is a possibility that they could both finish in the same points. How they then divvy that up and work it out after that, I've no idea. I hope to find out, Mitchell.
Yeah. The other thing that's really interesting, but I don't know if anyone else has picked up on it, is the battle of the engine tuners at the same time. It's Kowalski versus Ashtek. And Kowalski's won world titles. I don't think Ash has won one yet. So there's a lot of line on the line for these guys as well. They want to be the best engine tuner in the world. So it's really cool to see a little sideline, I guess.
Yeah. Couple of subplots there as well. Gav, just looking back at Wroclaw with to the British contingent, a bit of a mixed bag really. Robert Lambert not having the night that he would have been looking for, but Dan very much having a night that he would have been looking for, ending up on the podium, very much in the final. Let's just keep out the two of their road and let them sort it kind of deal. But yeah, that for Dan on the podium again, putting himself into the spot in the championship standings as well. But a really good night for him, but a poor night again for Robert.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what's gone wrong with Robert this season. Do you know what I mean? He's from having such a great season last year, all of a sudden he's just looked to be struggling for speed. I don't know. Whether he's changed engine tuners or whether they're trying new things or what, but he just seems to have been left behind a little bit, doesn't he? If everybody's sort of improved a bit, he's been left behind sort of on the engine front, on the sort of speed front. Because you see he puts 110% in and he's all over the track and he hasn't changed as a rider. He just doesn't seem to have the speed that the others have got. Dan's Dan, isn't he? You know what I mean? He's always going to be there or thereabouts. And as he's showed the last couple of seasons, he's and I don't think there's anybody faster when he gets in front if he gets a bit of fresh air, because he probably weighs about 6 stone soaking wet or whatever helps, and he's like when he gets going, it's same as when he gets going at Bellevue, you know what I mean? He's so super fast. But yeah, so he's going to be pleased with the season. I think he's there or thereabouts. He's certainly cementing his place. He's certainly a top 4, top 5 rider in the world, I would say, constantly now. Where Robert needs to, I'm surmising if he doesn't make it, he'll still get a wild card, I think, for next year probably. But he's got a lot of sort of searching to do over the winter. I think he needs to really reassess.
As well, Gav, his league form seems to be very good. I mean, he's had a good season for Torren, he's had a good season in Sweden as well. I mean, because when you said there, I don't know whether it's a change in engine tune or whatever it may be, his league forms doesn't seem to be suffering that much.
No, that's right.
The GPs, and I think there was a podcast we actually discussed about it. It looks sometimes as if he's trying too hard. Like there's no, like last year there just seemed to be that flow about him where it was everything just exactly what I said. Everything just seemed to flow for him. Whereas this year it just seems as if he's fighting to get through traffic. It also comes down to starts, I suppose. If you're fighting through traffic, you're not making starts. But there's obviously something there, Gav, that's just not quite where he wants it to be.
No, that's right, and I'm sure there's nobody scratching the head more than him and his sort of chief mechanic and his engine tuner and whatever else, and it's sort of sad. It's sad, the right word, I don't know, but to see him struggle, as you say, he's still doing fantastic in league racing, etc. But I really thought last year, I thought he could kick on this year and really challenge Bartosz. I honestly did. I thought he would be right up there. And unfortunately, it just hasn't worked. But I'm sure over the winter they'll work it out, and he'll start again next year and be back, hopefully back up into the top 5 where I think he really belongs to be.
I'm going to ask you a tough question now, Gav.
Come on then.
Do you ever envisage that one day one of those riders will win a world title? Do they have the consistency to win it?
Honestly, I very much doubt it at the moment. I don't think Dan and I don't think Robert have got that concept. I thought Robert showed. That's why I thought Robert could have maybe gone on. I think last year he showed that consistency. I don't think he was ever sort of out of the top 5 or what. He had a really consistent season, always finishing, getting to so many finals, and never sort of making that last step. Apart from the odd time. But this season, as you say, he's dropped back off. Dan seems to, he seems to be a little bit up and down. As in to win world titles, but he's still only young. He's still got loads ahead of him. And if he still keeps learning and there's no reason why. At the moment, I think you're right. Yeah, they haven't got the consistency, but that's nothing to say that in a year or two's time that add that sort of string to their bow as it was, and they don't go on to win it. They're certainly fast enough. They're class enough. They're fully GP standard up there. As you said, it's just getting to that next level to actually stand on that top spot after the final Grand Prix, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Mitchell, obviously Dan's fighting it out with Freddie Lindgren for third spot in the standings, but it was a poor evening for Freddie. Uncharacteristic, I would say.
Very much so. It's what, I think I've said previously, for me, Freddie is the definition of, someone who just grinds and grits it and gets the result. He works so hard for those results, and it just didn't seem to happen for him in Wrocław, one reason or another. I'm sure his team, they would have reevaluated everything and came up with solutions and that. But yeah, it was just, I expected Dan to definitely have the upper hand at Wrocław, but by as much, to swing that, that much, probably not. I expect it, to be, near on level. I think going in sort of to the bronze medal race in the last round as well.
Yeah, what I would say is I'm going to throw my 2 cents in the ring here in regards to Freddie's. Obviously, Freddie having a poorer night. One thing is, as hard a rider as Freddie is, and is kind of obviously maybe scuffles he maybe gets into on track, you never see him that emotional in terms of, like, you never see him want to fight with another rider, whereas you did on Saturday. And I genuinely think that might have been the bit a difference for Freddie, that he let himself go into that headspace. As I say, he is a rider who's extremely tough on track, but you never see him. You never really. I can't remember an occasion where he maybe took it that far, where he was kind of riding Mikkelsen in the pits and kind of wanted to have a confrontation. I've never really seen that side of him, where he's took it off track. I actually think that might have affected him, and as you know, Speedway is in the brain and the mind as well. So it's just I suppose I could throw up an excuse for him, Gavin, the team manager role, to go, that might have been that might have been the case of why that happened, but it might just have been an off night. Mitchell, just to look at, we like to obviously come to you for the Aussie contingent. We've obviously spoke about Brady, Jack Holder had a good night. So did Max, just very unlucky in the last chance qualifier. Obviously, he's came off of his own accord there. But I felt as if Max had a very good Grand Prix. I thought he looked quick all night as well. And obviously Jack getting into the final, that's a good night for Jack as well.
Yeah, and for Jack, I think it's fun, that consistency, getting back into the finals. He showed, was it last year or when the year he got injured, that he was there and he was knocking on the door like a lot of the time for the Grand Prix and for the rostrum. So for him, it's finding his feet, and that is a solid result, getting back into the final. Max was the one who seemed to he found something. He got it working, and I think he knows how much finishing in that top 7 means. I know it's against a Brit, and obviously I'm faced off against 2 Brits here. I apologise, but yeah,
you're a Brit as well. Don't use that.
Oh, my scuzzy, mate. Yeah, for me, it proved that his desire and his ability's there, and he just needs to find that on a more consistent level. For me, looking at it, the best possible scenario is Max finishes 7th and Robert gets a wild card, because then they both get a chance to, I don't feel like any of them should miss out, because, they're there and they're battling, and, to be in the top 10 in the world is phenomenal. Like, for me, that should be enough to warrant you in the next season.
Yeah, absolutely. Gav, we've got a few I's to dot and a few T's to cross getting into Vojens as we look at it. Obviously, as we've discussed, Bartosz holds a 3-point advantage over Brady getting into the last one. Dan holds a 5-point advantage over Freddie in terms of the third place. Mitchell just mentioned there, to get into the top 7 to guarantee yourself a place next year. It's a direct shootout between Max and Robert for that one, really, I would say. 3 points between them. We've got all these subplots. It's not just the World Championship it's up for stake. It's guaranteeing your GP spot for next year. It's finishing with a medal. There's lots of permutations getting into Vojens as well.
It's fascinating, isn't it? It's not just a race out for the title. It's, that you go all the way down the field. Do you know what I mean? As you say, and you've got positions to fight for. You're fighting for first, you're fighting for third, you're fighting for 7th. It couldn't be any better for the public. It couldn't be any better for the neutral. For them riders, it puts a lot of pressure on this last match. It comes down sort of to a 1-match shootout for some of them, doesn't it? Yeah. But I think Robert, I don't think Max would be given the wild card. I think if he misses out, I don't think he would get it. I think Robert will. So if you look at it that way, you probably
would be fair.
Probably not, but I just think that's the way it would work, if that makes sense. Probably doesn't, but what in Speedway does make sense. I think, so if Robert did finish sort of 8th, I think he would get that spot. As in for the 3rd spot, I think Dan's got it, to be fair. It would have to be, but Freddie will never ever give up, as Mitt said before. He's not a type of rider. He'll battle to the right to the end, won't he? And then when it comes to the top, I don't really, I would love Brady to win it, just because, like any champion, like when Steve Davis used to win the snooker all the time, and whoever's won it a lot of times, everybody sort of wants somebody else to win it, don't they? But Bartosz is the ultimate model professional. He never gets involved in anything. You never see, maybe it's because he's most of the time in front, but, you never really see a crossword. Even when he loses, he goes back to the pits and sorts stuff out. He's not slamming stuff around, and, I always say, I said to my riders, is like, if you're spending time being angry and slamming stuff around, you're not concentrating on A, what went wrong, and B, what you can put right. If you're so up ahead that your head's gone, that you're just screaming and shouting, you're wasting valuable time. You only get, say, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes to put it right, to go back out on track. And if you're screaming and shouting and punching pits walls and doing whatever, you're wasting every second that you've got to put something right by doing that. And as I say, going back to Bartosz, you never see that, do you?
No.
Like 𝗚𝗍𝗄𝘃 Pedersen used to spend half of his career punching something, didn't he? Whether it was other riders or whether it be pits, people, anything, wasn't it?
Mechanics.
And to be fair, 𝗚𝗍𝗃 was great, but I still think if he'd been managed and channeled the right way, like, he could have actually been even better. Because the longer you've lost it is the longer you're not concentrate on the job that you've got ahead.
Absolutely. Just in terms of what Gav said there, Mitchell, and with Max with the wild card, is that why you've come up with the permutation of Max finishing 7th, Robert finishing 8th, because that's probably more likely to get the both of them in for next year?
Yeah, like in a perfect world, that's what would happen. But yeah, I disagree with the way they do the wildcard system personally. But that's another kettle of fish. They've completely lost the plot with that personally. So yeah, on that one, to ensure 2 of the best riders in the world get another crack at it, it's the best possible scenario. But just back to what Gab was saying there about riders losing their heads, and that is one of the best explanations I've heard for it. Just reevaluate, adapt, and overcome. That is all you can do. And like you say, Bartosz is at the top, and he never loses his head. Never ever. You see him scratch his head.
Yeah.
But that's him thinking, and that's him thinking, how am I going to be better? And 9 times out of 10, he comes out better.
Right, let's go round the table then as we finish off. Before we finish off, then through these permutations that I've just given you, and I'm going to add another in as well. So I'm going to go that I can't see Zmarzlik losing for here. So I'm going to take Zmarzlik, because I still think even if Brady goes out and wins it, Zmarzlik is just like he'll do everything. Absolutely everything to finish second to make sure he finishes top. So I'm going to take Zmarzlik to win the world title, Gav.
As much as heart and head and whatever, I'm going to have to agree with you. I'd love Brady to do it, but as you say,
me too. I'm rooting for Brady here,
that's
but
like me.
I can't see it.
Yeah, I'm rooting for Brady, but honestly, I just think, Bartosz, he's been there, done it, won the T-shirt several times, and as you say, he'll finish second behind Brady in that final if he, come hell or high water, as they used to say. I think Brady will just miss out, but it's still been an absolutely fantastic, phenomenal season for him.
Yeah. Match.
Brady.
Get in, good lad. I like it. I like it.
I think he said you don't win 4 for no reason.
Yeah.
It's it's written to be a cracker, and either way, what an advert of a GP series it's been. But I've just had this feeling since the start of the year. Ever since I watched the qualifier last year and how well he rode in that, I was just like, he's ready. He's just something about him. It was like he's ready. So I'm backing him.
Good lad.
Yeah.
Third place, we're going with, so Dan currently holds a 5-point advantage over Freddie. I think this will be tighter than probably what I would want it to be, but I think Dan will end up getting the bronze medal. Gav?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you again. It's a bit boring, this, isn't it? There's no controversy, but Dan, I think 5 points is a reasonable amount, and as he says, there's a little bit of a cushion there. Again, Freddie will not give up. He will fight to the absolute end. But I'm going Dan will get that bronze medal.
Mitch?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm following suit here. This I think Dan did enough at Rochdale, to put that 5-point buffer. That's decent.
Yeah,
I think that's it'll take a really bad night for Dan to throw that away.
Absolutely. That 7th spot that we spoke about up for grabs. Max Fricke holds a 3-point advantage over Robert Lambert. This is maybe one that will split us. I hope Max gets the 7th, because I know Max and pals with him, and I want him to get it. But I genuinely think he's racing better. His second half of Max's season, I think he probably deserves more than what he's had out the Grand. Looking at Max Fricke's Grand Prix series this year, he 100% deserves more out of this series than what he's got. When I think back to like Manchester, even at the weekend there, I'm sure it was one of the ones in Riga. Just like whatever, I just think that he actually deserves a hell of a lot more out of this series, and I think he's been better value all year than what Robert has. So if I'm going in who probably deserves it for the performance this year, Max. Who do I think will do it? Max. Gavin?
Robert. There you go. I have to be,
he's good at Vojens, Robert, as well. That's the thing. I know I'm contradicting myself.
I just can't believe he can have as many sort of off nights compared to what he was like last season and the season before. So I think he'll get it right. I used to always have a little. I said I wasn't a betting man, but I was probably lying a little bit. I always had a little wager on 𝗗𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗵 last season, and the won us a little bit of money each time. Just a little bit of in each way on both of them. Luckily, I haven't bothered betting on them this year, and I would have been miles down if I had. But luckily, yeah, it probably is. Yeah. Luckily, I just haven't had time. To be fair, more than anything else, So, but I'm going to say Robert. I think he might just pull it out the bag at Vojens, and we'll see the Lambert that we saw last season.
Maxi boy all the way. He started in Denmark at a young age, so he knows the tracks, he knows the surfaces. I think Team Australia won a Speedway of Nations there. Max was riding in the team.
Yep.
He knows the place. He knows how to get around it, and just if we think that Robert's trying too hard, he could easily do the same again, and things not go his way. So if that is the root of the problem, we don't know. We're not in his team. We don't know the ins and outs of it. But yeah, I think the pressure's more on Robert. Max has just got to go and do what he's been doing.
Absolutely. So the permutation I want to throw at you here is looking into the future, and I'm sure we'll dedicate more than enough time to wildcard picks after Vojens and stuff as well. But I want to throw a kind of scenario out to you now. What I would say is that I think Jason Doyle has had some cracking Grand Prix this year, especially when I think back to kind of Malala. And as I say, I thought he was excellent at 𝗚𝗏𝗃𝗃, former world champion. He got a wild card last year. Now, given that, he's rode through injury. I mean, we've seen him at Manchester struggling big time with injuries. Obviously, got wrote off in Warsaw as well. Now, if Jason has another good Grand Prix come Saturday, given the fact that they've given him one this year, would they give him another one again? I'm going to lean on the side of no. He's had the you're the former world champion. You were injured at the start of the year when you were in contention. I feel as if he's had that wild card, and I don't think he'll get that again, especially if they're going to take either Lambert or Fricke as one of them. I don't see Jason getting it. Gav?
I agree.
I want him to, by the way. I think the GPs are a better place with Jason Doyle.
I think he's still world class. He's still GP class, without doubt. But no, I agree. I agree that he got his chance last year justifiably because, he was injured while he was right up there. But I think you make a present if you just keep giving these people the sort of... And I'd say the same about Lambert. He's had it's not through injury that he hasn't sort of made it, but if he gets it next year... There's no good keep giving him it. Oh, he's a good prospect. He's a good prospect. You get one chance. You put back in that one time, and then if you don't take that chance, I'm sorry, whether you're an ex-world champion or not, it's and I think that's like Doyle. At the end of the day, he's still absolutely class, etc. But he hasn't qualified. So last year he got the wild card, but I don't think he should get it this year. Even though he's still good enough for it, and I'm sure next year he would be fantastic. But yeah, I think it's one of them things that they can't just keep giving you it and giving you it and giving you it. That's just not fair.
Gavin Parr one and stuff like that. When I look down the list of ones that get them over and over again, and if you haven't given Leon Madsen one last year, I don't.
You
Sorry,
stole my line there. 𝗗𝗃𝗃𝗃's built his bloody GP career on that.
Yeah. And that should stop as well, shouldn't it?
If you're going to set a precedent, there's lots of permutation, and I really, for one, hope they don't go you have a GP in your country, you can have a wild card.
Yeah, wrong. I think they will. I think that's the thing. I think they absolutely will. Well, right, we'll take a couple of fan questions before we go. McDonald has said, who could be the spoiler for Saturday? I'm going to say Lindgren because there's something in the line from he would be my spoiler if I had to pick one outside the top two. Gav?
I'll go Anders Thompson. I think he's looked.
Oh, good shout.
Yeah, I think he's looked fast the last couple of Grand Prix, but just got in wrong positions at the wrong time, you know. And I think he could be on the rostrum on Saturday.
He was good. He was good there last year from memory as well when he was the wild card. Yeah, Mitch.
Yeah.
Who's wildcard this year?
Is it not Jepsen Jensen?
Ooh.
Yeah, I think it is.
I'll throw him down as a dark.
Throw him in.
We'll see who Mitchell's who's in Mitchell's fantasy force team for this one anyway. Absolute certainty. Jepsen Jensen, thank you. First name in the team sheet.
As long as I beat you, I'm happy.
Yeah, right. And Kieran said, if you had to pick between Emil and Artem, who would you want in? For me, 100% Artem. Gav?
I'm going to say Emil.
Emil?
Yep.
Mitch?
Racer's point of view, Emil. But for me, I still class Laguda as interim champion. He hasn't had a chance to defend it.
Yeah.
He's got to go.
That's right.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.